please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Moving on then, former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan has called for more bad loan resolutions outside the court as he fears the NCLT could get clogged. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV18's Lata Venkatesh, Rajan said that it is not up to the bankruptcy courts to deal with every small case and added that these courts should be reserved as a final threat if resolution is not found.
We tend to look at one-off situations, a loan going bad. Well, bankers have to exercise business judgment. And if the overall economic environment is one of optimism, they get infected by that. The fact that a loan goes bad when it is made under such circumstances doesn't necessarily signify corruption or even incompetence. It could signify the general expectation is of strong growth. I don't think bankers should be faulted for that. The real problem comes, however, that when you have identified loans going bad, you should work very hard to either put them back on track or essentially get out if you can. That process hasn't worked well in India. The exuberance, the bad loans, that's something other countries have also experienced. But the cleanup, both by the bankers' side, as well as the support given by government agencies and so on, hasn't worked as effectively.
Well, would you, I mean, we are now pinning a lot of hope on the bankruptcy code and the NCLT process. At least two big defaulters have been brought to book and checks have been written by new promoters to the bankers. Are you now more confident that the stock of defaulters, the stock of bad loans will be resolved sometime soon?
Well, first, I have a more detailed note on my website, and that's my reply to the Parliamentary Estimates Committee, and people could look at that directly for a more detailed view. But really, I think the bankruptcy court is a very important, useful development, but we have to see how it plays out. Remember, when SARFAESI was brought in, when the debt recovery tribunals were brought in, there was a lot of anticipation that these would resolve previous debt problems. And very soon, the courts got clogged in appeals, counter-appeals, and essentially recovery started dropping very quickly after the initial successes. It is very important that we make sure that the bankruptcy courts don't succumb to that very same process, which means that they have to deal with high-value items, a relatively small number, but much of the bankruptcy resolution has to take place out of court with the shadow of bankruptcy essentially acting as an ultimate threat for promoters and bankers who don't get their act together. It is not the place of the bankruptcy court to deal with every single situation of distress. If we try and do that, there is simply not enough capacity in the system to handle that, and we will find we're back to square one.
Okay, well, I guess many people are trying to resolve problems before they go to the NCLT, but the Reserve Bank has now made it practically mandatory that all loans above 2,000 crore, if stressed and not resolved for 6 months, should go to the NCLT. That's not the way to go? You think it can clog the NCLTs?
Well, I think the point here is to give some time for people to try and resolve their problems and to essentially make sure it's not indefinite. And I think you can pick the time that you give, but ultimately there has to be a threat. If they don't resolve it, then it goes to the final sort of showdown. So I think what we have to hope is much of the resolution gets done outside. Bankers sign on to it, the promoters bring in equity, we get the projects back on track rather than leave them languishing. That will be beneficial to the country and to its growth. And in the meantime, the NCLT deals with a few really tough cases.